Hello, it's Michael. Welcome to week 5. Hey, halfway through. And again, last week I wanted to make sure this video is working. It seems like it is. I really hope that everyone views it just to start the week off. Just to reflect on what happened last week, offer any suggestions that I can help just in terms of setting everybody in the right direction and not spending too much time repeating myself, which last week there was a fair amount of repetition in something that I kept saying and wrote and I thought communicated as clearly as possible, which is HTML is not a display oriented language. It has nothing really at all to do with what it looks like. Why is that concept interesting? Because the more you are concerned about making something visual, the less time you're going to spend thinking about this controlled language, which it is. You saw from here, it doesn't have too many tags to have to worry about, but each tag should be used meaningfully. And also, if you were to delve into this subject, the more meaningful tags you use, actually, the easier it is later to style. So headings were very important. Lack of repetition was important. If you had your HTML and you found it difficult to read, trust me, I found it more difficult to read, and reading it was the whole point. Reading what it said and using that as an idea from the information architect, you, to say, here's what these things, here's the importance, here's the groupings. And you can see by this example, pretending all of these have exactly the same markup. And if you don't believe me, here's another example. This is CSS Zen Garden. CSS is the language of design, not HTML. And so in this case, this particular page, let me just do another one. This particular page. Let's try another one. Well, if you're not quite getting it yet, these are all the same HTML. All that's changing is the CSS. And that's been true since the beginning, since CSS was invented. So if you're interested in design, CSS and good HTML will get you a million miles farther than somehow styling your HTML to look good on the page, which, as you've all found, I believe is impossible. But even that being said, with a lot of coaching, I hope you all begin to see the light of why HTML is actually a qualitative job to do. It doesn't have anything, as I said, to do with how it looks. It has to do what does it mean. And if it means nothing, every job after that is intensely difficult. So if anyone who had HTML training, a couple people did and added something like a class, which is a way to start to name different things, well, welcome to this week. So this week is about a controlled vocabulary. And here are some examples of controlled vocabulary. So for one, of course, please do the reading for this week. There's the hope is, and again, I'm not going to really explain this week. Please do the readings, etc. What it's about is taxonomies. And taxonomies are really important to group large amounts of content. And examples are there. I want to make sure that you can determine and create. One example here is what's called keywords. Keywords are absolutely unique words. Unique, meaning they really only have one meaning that you might add to a web page to describe the contents therein. So if your page has a bunch of your content on it, what are the very, very specific terms? So I'll just pick on our restaurant people. You know, the word restaurant is fine, I guess, but it is very easy to use, is very generic. But if you had a keyword such as and I'm blanking, I don't have a good example of a particular type of cuisine, for example, that had a very specific name. Well, again, that's going to give you a lot more in terms of a keyword than the word restaurant. I'm thinking for some reason of Persian cuisine, but that's two words. Keywords are one word. And then You need to look. If you do not have taxonomies, some of you, and this gets back to when I was coaching about your topic, if you can't come up with a taxonomy, I wanted to make it a little easier for you because taxonomies are extremely critical as we move forward up the pyramid because you now have information, it's readable by a computer. Now we want to make it findable by a human. So first thing is big groups, right? Just any big grouping names, if you have them in your table already, research them more. Make sure that you understand the taxonomy of your topic. And there'll be some exercises here to do that for this week. So last week, controlled vocabulary that had to do with HTML. You don't get to change HTML at all. You can bypass it, but why? Because it's a pretty good language. It gives you a lot of real good focus to be able to decide hierarchies. And then secondly, your content. What are the words, and I'm calling it nouns this week, right? These are words that categorize and describe your topic. Any content that you bring here, I think last week you all did a good job of contributing early and iterating. Fabulous job, actually. So you get the pace of this class, which is, if you're unsure, try something, and I'll be happy to give you some feedback. If you aren't getting feedback from me in time, remember to mention me in a comment. That'll ping me immediately, as will, I hope, this video ping you and start you off right for this week.